Hello, my name is Commander Darren Nelson of the United States Navy, and I'm doing this video reference for Alex Kalish. During my 3-year tour as commanding officer of the USS Arlington, Alex Kalish was one of about 40 officers that worked for me throughout that tour. When I reported to Arlington, there was only 3 people assigned, myself, the XO, and the Command Master Chief. It was our job to build the rest of the crew, train them, and equip them so they could take possession of the USS Arlington after it was built, and then be able to operate that within Navy standards. Alex reported to Arlington about 6 months into my tour. He was one of the first ensigns to report, and from day one, I knew he was going to be one of my best officers. His confidence and his drive to succeed were well above that of someone of his experience. He immediately began working on his surface warfare officer qualification, a very important milestone as a young division officer to accomplish. Since we were being built in Pascagoula, we didn't have any underway time, so he came to me and asked if he could volunteer to go on a deployment on another ship to work on his qualifications. Knowing the type of officer he was already, I quickly agreed to that. During his tour, during his deployment, it was just a short 4-month deployment, he was able to qualify officer of deck and CIC watch officer. Two of the biggest steps in getting your surface warfare officer qualification. I kept in contact with the commanding officer on the ship that he was deployed on, and every time I talked to him about him, Alex, or the other officers on board the ship, I always got glowing comments about Alex, and wow, I wish I could keep him permanently. And even after the end of the deployment, the CO came to me, personally asked me, hey, can we do a trade? I'll give you the next junior officer that shows up if you let me keep Alex. Knowing what a great person Alex was and what a great leader he was already becoming, I respectfully declined and wanted to keep him for myself. He's always been just that great officer, so I didn't want to let him go. Also, I assigned him as a morale, welfare, and recreations officer, partly because the way he takes care of his subordinates is awesome. He's truly a great and gifted leader. He was able to relate with them, and as part of the morale and welfare rec, we got to keep up morale, and his job was, as the treasurer of the organization, he personally set up fun drives, ways to make it fun, from pies in the face for the CO. Yes, I did a pie in the face, but it was to benefit the crew. We raised over $20,000 as a pre-commissioning crew, something that is very unheard of. We were able to take that money and spend it on Christmas parties and stuff, and get door prizes for the sailors as they came to the Christmas party, and had a great time. So he was always about taking care of his sailors, and that's something I saw from the beginning. I knew that was going to be something that is going to help make him a better leader. As Alex progressed through his surface warfare officer qualification, his final step was a board in front of me and several other senior surface warfare officers. I've been in the Navy for almost 21 years now, and I've sat several of these boards throughout my career, as a board member to being the one getting his qualification, and as a commanding officer, this was my first one as I chaired the board. And I will tell you, without a doubt, this is the best. His performance during that board was the best board I have ever seen in my 21 years of in naval service. It was awesome. The Surface Warfare Officer Board requires a lot of knowledge of all platforms within the Navy. He studied numerous hours on his own time, took the initiative on his own time, and he passed the board. We asked him questions that were probably at the senior level, the XO, the CO level, and he knew them all. He'd been studying, he understood it, and he understood the concepts behind all the questions, which was even more amazing. He's always been on the fast track. He's one of those guys that has driven from day one. Like I said, he was just always had that drive behind him. He's always a fast track type of person. During my last performance eval with him, as my detaching fit rep to him, I recommended him for early command at the 03 level of a patrol craft, and I think he would have been an awesome officer doing it. Believe me, if I could have cloned Alex and have 100 of them on board the ship, my life would be easy. He's that kind of guy. He's really hard worker. Does he make mistakes every once in a while? Yeah, but he learns from them. Believe me, he learns from them, and he's always applying that, trying not necessarily just trying not to make a mistake. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. And most of his mistakes were just based on his junior experience in the Navy. Something that, as we learn through my 20 years of service, there's always some issues where he applies those. He takes lessons learned from other officers, and he motivates other officers. He makes other officers in my wardroom better. That's the easiest way to say it. He just makes everybody around him better. He motivates them. He helps them where he can. He's always that one that will volunteer to help out in any project that I had. He was always my go-to officer. When we took the ship out for our maiden voyage, I had to choose a watch team to drive the ship out. Alex was my number one choice for the conning officer. He did a marvelous job. The harbor in Pascagoula, Mississippi is not an easy harbor to navigate. He did it flawlessly. Believe me, taking the ship out with probably more than 2/3 of the crew haven't been underway in over 4 years, Alex handled the ship awesome. It was fun to watch. As a commanding officer, that's one thing you're always training your junior officers, and it's always exciting to watch them when they succeed. And Alex has succeeded every time that I've given him a task, and it's always been fun to watch him grow. Like I said, I wish I could clone him, keep him in the Navy. I know I tried desperately to keep him in the Navy, talking to him, trying to convince him otherwise. But the Navy is not for him, and I fully support his decision to go into the civilian workforce. If I had the chance to offer him a job in the civilian workforce, I know it's totally different than the military workforce, I would hire him in a minute. You won't be sorry. He's that kind of guy. He doesn't like to be stagnant. He wants to work hard, and he wants to move up, and that's always been his focus. And he spends lots of time and effort doing that, but he also brings everybody that works for him up as well. His division was always one of the best divisions on the ship, and his department ended up being one of the best departments on the ship simply because of his drive and his effort to make it so. And taking care of his sailors on the way, making sure they got awards, making sure they got time off, visit their families. He has always been that guy that, he's that model sailor that you always want, that model leader. And I fully endorse him. I have a hard time saying anything bad about him. He's cheerful. He gets along well with everybody, and he's just that motivated sailor that I wish I could keep in the Navy. I really do. And if you get a chance to hire him, I'd say hire him in a heartbeat. He won't let you down. No doubt in my mind, he will support you and make your work even more successful. So thank you for the time, for letting me talk directly about Alex. This is an interesting way to do a personal recommendation. But again, this is Alex's style. Not always going with the norm, trying something new, doing it even better. So again, hire Alex. He won't let you down.